Hi, welcome to my channel. Today's video is a compilation of previous Halloween DIYs. I got this wee book from Dollar Tree. I actually got this one last year, but they have these kind of things every year. And then the scrapbook pad is from Amazon, and I will link it down below. I tore out the pages that I wanted for the walls, and this is what I chose for the floor, so I'm just going to measure it, cut it out. I just need a small piece, so I'm just leaving it in the pad and then cutting out what I need. This DIY was actually inspired by someone else. I was watching some Halloween videos and the channel was called Creep Softly Studio, and I'll link it down below, but she made a witch's room with this book, so I decided I wanted one too. Obviously mine's is a bit different. I'm just measuring out the walls now, and then I'm going to cut them out. And I like to put it where I'm going to glue it down just to make sure it fits. I was seeing if it was going to fit that side, but it's a wee bit big, so I'm going to have to measure it and cut that to fit that to size. I also cut out two smaller pieces for the sides of the inside of the book, but I'm not going to show you that. I'm just using some Mod Podge and just brushing it all over the inside of the book so that I can stick my scrapbook paper down. You could use a glue stick if you wanted to. And I'm just putting Mod Podge on this. I'm not going to put it on top of the scrapbook paper when I stick it down. And you could do that if you want to. So I'm just placing all my pieces inside. And this one was a wee bit too big. I love watching people make these wee rooms. So this is a wee room for this DIY. The second DIY is the quickest, easiest DIY ever. And then the last DIY is another one of those fireplace rooms that I make. So I'm just using my heat gun to dry it and try and get rid of the air bubbles. And then I just trim off any that is sticking out. And now I'm just going to Mod Podge the other side on. So I couldn't decide which picture I wanted for the window because I'm making a wee window in this, and I just cut out the wee pictures that were on the front of this scrapbook paper. And I'm using these stickers to make the window frame. I wanted it to be a wee bit fancy. So I'm just going to do one strip, and I'm just putting some Mod Podge on it. And I'm going to dry it off with my heat gun, and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of black paint. And it's just the same thing I did in my last video, the vampire one, if you watched it. I used these stickers in that. I love these stickers because You can paint them and they just look so nice on your projects. So I'm just doing a second coat of paint now. And then after that I'm going to put another coat of Mod Podge, and it's the matte Mod Podge that I'm using. I decided to go with this picture. It's got a full moon on it and a wee raven, and I'm just brushing some Mod Podge on the back and then I'm going to stick it down. It was a wee bit too high up there. I'm just using my heat gun to dry it off and help stick it down. And then I'm just cutting out the sticker, and I'm just pulling off the wee bits of paint that were hanging off the edges from where I painted it. And these stickers are really good. All you need to do is cut one wee gem from the end of it, and then you can fit them in, and you can't even notice that you have joined them up. They're obviously sticky, but they're not too sticky that you can take them off and move them if you don't put them in the right place. I have some tower blocks and I'm going to glue them together to make a shelf to put inside the book. So I'm just gluing 4 together like this, and then I'm going to use another 2 standing up, so it just has a wee bit more support when I glue it on. And I'm using these half pearl stickers to make it a bit fancier. And then I'm going to paint over the half pearls with some Mod Podge, and then I'm going to do the 2 coats of black over the whole thing, and then a coat of Mod Podge over the whole thing. So I'm just going to show you me painting a wee bit, and then I'll do the rest off camera. Now that my shelf is dry, I've got one of these wee bottles from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put it in there so I know where to place my shelf. I couldn't find any more of these bottles this year, and this was the last 2 I had left. So I just used the wood glue to stick it down, but I'm going to put some hot glue on it as well, just to make it a bit stronger. Oh, and this is the fun part, decorating it with all the wee bottles. So that's one of the party favours from the party section, and I just peeled off the white top, and then that is a wee flame from the Dollar Tree Plus section. It was fairy lights, and I'm using them later on in the video, so you'll see what that came from. And then I just put a wee skeleton hand inside one of those wee bottles, and I had to heat it up a wee bit so I could squish it in. And then this is some green rocks from Dollar Tree. And that was me deciding what I was going to put in this one. So I'm just going to put a wee cut off of this greenery, also from Dollar Tree. The only thing that's not from Dollar Tree in this video is the scrapbook paper, and then a wee moon that I put in it later on. I was trying to set it up so that you guys could see what I was doing, and so I could see. And then I just glued everything in place. I was trying to put some red paint inside this bottle, but none would come out. So I went and got this blue colour shift one, and I put that in instead. Then decided my candle was a bit too white, so I just dry brushed some black paint onto it that was left over on the paintbrush. And this is a wee cauldron from Dollar Tree, and I'm just brushing some black paint on it so it's not so shiny, but only on the side that you're going to see. And then I have some paper towel, and I'm just scrunching it up and putting it inside, and then I'm painting the top of it so you don't see it. So the lady in the video used these plants to fill up her cauldron, and I obviously had some, so I was like, oh, that's a good idea. She put lights in hers as well, but I don't have any fairy lights to light this up, or else I would have definitely put one in the candle. So I forgot that I was supposed to put this stick in there, and I just keep filling it up and gluing the pieces of the greenery inside it. This other one looks more like bubbles, so I put that on top. And my stick was too long, so I cut it down. I ended up cutting it down a bit more than that. I just hot gluing that inside. It's looking cute. And this is some scrapbook paper. It's called Cosmos by Stampedia, and I'm just going to take one little piece of it to decorate inside, and I can't remember what it says. Well, if you don't believe in magic, you'll never find it, something like that. And I'm just putting some black paint around the edges, and I'm going to Mod Podge that and stick it on it as well. And I just stuck it above the window. I decided I needed some of this to look like bubbles spilling down, so I just stuck that bit in. And these wee pots are from Dollar Tree, so I was just deciding if I was going to put them in there. Because I knew I was going to put the skeleton in there. So I'm just going to paint them black. I just give them one quick coat of paint. Well, these stickers are from Dollar Tree as well, and I have some silver rub and buff, and I'm just going to rub that in the middle of the sticker to make it look like a mirror, and then I'm going to stick that inside the book. I'm going to glue my wee plant pots in now and then fill them up. So the big one, I'm going to put some bones in there and just chopping them down so that they are not too long. And then I'm going to put some greenery in the other one. And the cool thing about these wee rooms is you can put anything you want in them. There's no right or wrong thing. You can just fill it up with whatever you want your wee witch's house to have, or whatever theme you're going for. I'm just putting some rub and buff on this wee moon. I'm going to glue that in as well. And then I'm just going to place the skeleton. I'm not going to glue it down. And I love this because when you open it, it's a wee surprise inside. I got this skull in the Dollar Tree Plus section, and all I'm going to do with this is stick a wee plant from IKEA on it and make a planter. And they had different colours of these. They had black and gold, but I liked this oil spill colour, and I think this is so cute. I'm going to keep this up in my craft room all year round. I had to put a wee really easy DIY in here because the other two are a lot. This is an 8x8 canvas from Amazon, and I will link it down below. And I'm just placing some tower blocks, and I'm measuring and cutting them down with the miter shears. Some of them cut easy, some of them don't. And this is going to be my wee floor for the front of this room. I'm just doing 4 rows of blocks, but you can do more if you want to. It's up to you. Also, you could use a saw to cut the tower blocks as well. And then I just have it like a brick wall effect. You could also use just a piece of wood if you wanted to, or you could use a piece of wood or cardboard and then cut down some popsicle sticks to make floorboards if you can't get tower blocks. So I'm just going to glue them to the frame now. I'll just show you me doing a wee bit. I'm not going to show you me doing them all. I made mine a tiny bit long, but you won't even notice that once it's all put together. I'm using some more tower blocks to make a fireplace. So I'm just gluing 3 end to end and then gluing another 3 alongside them. And that's going to be my mantle. And then I'm going to glue 3 pieces together for the bottom and then 2 for each side. Make sure you let yours dry before you try and stick them all together. So I decided I wanted to make the sides thicker, so I'm just adding in 2 more tower blocks to each side. I gave them 2 coats of black paint. And then I'm going to use this black papers pad that I used at the start of the video. And it has all these pretty papers. You could use any of them for this. I actually made this DIY first. I'm going to use this one at the front and I'm just going to measure it. I was going to do it like that, but that wasn't going to work. So I get the ruler and measure it properly. And then I'm just going to cut it out with some scissors. Just check that it fits before you glue it down. I'm marking off the fireplace because I'm going to cut that out. I don't want that in the background of the fireplace. I have some matte Mod Podge and I'm going to use that to stick down the scrapbook paper. And I'm just brushing it on. I'm making sure I get right in the corners. And I'm actually going to use this on the whole DIY. Back in Scotland, I actually had a black bedroom. It was all black with wallpaper like this. I loved that bedroom. I miss it. Had lots of fun in there. I definitely want to decorate my bedroom like that again, but my boyfriend is not into the Gothic stuff. So I don't know if I'll get it like that again. So I didn't paint the back of this because I didn't have much black paint left. But actually, after doing all the DIYs in this video and the last video, I do have enough left to paint the back, so I'm going to go back and paint it. And I really love how the black paint looks with the Mod Podge over it. So definitely doing that for some DIYs in the future. So these are the bones from Dollar Tree, and I'm just placing them where I want them to go. And this is one of the necklaces from Dollar Tree, and I am just cutting off one of the wee skulls to put in the middle of my mantle, and I burned off the thread. I'm just going to hot glue these in place. You can hot glue them, you can hot glue them before you paint the mantle and just paint it all at the same time if you want to. But you might want to leave these this colour and not paint them black. But I just love how everything looks black. It's my favourite colour. So now I'm just going to Mod Podge the bones, and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of black and then Mod Podge the whole thing. I'm not going to show you all those steps because I've already shown you before. I don't think you want to watch me paint that much. So I'm just going to use some wood glue to glue my fireplace on. And I'm just going to leave it to dry. So this is a wee skull from Dollar Tree, and they don't sit, well, this one didn't sit straight, so I tried to melt it a wee bit with the hot glue on the bottom so it would sit straight. And then I'm just using some Mod Podge to paint it so I can get the paint to stick. And I'm just doing the same thing, the coat of Mod Podge, the 2 coats of black, and then another coat of Mod Podge. And then using my heat gun to dry it in between. So I have 2 pieces of wood round. These are from Amazon, I'll link them down below. I know you can get ones in Dollar Tree, I just never find them. And I am making a wee table for my fireplace scene. Oh, and now I'm making a chair. And then I painted them after that. So I'm using that wee necklace again, and I'm cutting off 2 bones and a skull. Now, I would want a fancier chair than this, but this is what Dollar Tree have. So I took one of those bigger bones, and then I cut that in half as well and glued that to the top of the chair. And then I got another bone, or was the leftover bit of bones, and I used them to make, like, what are they called? The armrests on the side of the chair. It's late. I stayed up late to do this voiceover because everybody is in their bed and no one's going to come in and disturb me. This is one of the wee skeletons from Dollar Tree. I'm just using my hot knife to cut the back of the skull off because I want it to sit flat. And these stickers are also from Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to paint it black. And I give it 2 coats of black. I should have done the Mod Podge first, but I didn't. And then I'm gluing my skull on it. And then painting the skull. I don't know why I didn't glue the skull then paint the whole thing. And I'm giving it another coat of black paint. And then I'm going to do the Mod Podge on the top. I try and use as many things from Dollar Tree as I can for these wee scenes. Could make better scenes if you get stuff from other places, like actual proper miniature stuff, but that's expensive. So it's good that you can make these with mostly Dollar Tree items. So I'm going to stick this above my mantle, right in the middle. I found these skull candles in the Dollar Tree Plus section, and I knew straight away I had to have skull totem poles in one of these wee rooms. So I used my X-Acto knife to cut it at first, and then I was going to try and put it in one of these wee pots, but then I decided that I wasn't going to put in a pot. So I left this part in because you might want to put them in the pot, and I just kept chipping away at the candle to make it fit. And I was going to paint the pot black. So here I was thinking, what would it look like if I didn't use the pot, so that I could compare the looks and decide what I was going to do. And I thought it looked much better without the pot. So then I just cut them down to fit. I bought 2 packs. Well, I bought 1 pack and then I had to go back to the shop again because one of my candles broke, but it didn't really matter because I cut all that part off anyway. So the candle cut much easier with my hot knife, but I don't think you can see it on the video. It started smoking because some of the wax was left on it. That's me wiping the wax off, trying to get it to stop smoking. Anyway, I would probably leave these till last to put on because they can get damaged easy because they're just candles. And I did chip a bit and they're red inside, so I just touched it up with some of the black paint and then a bit of Mod Podge over the top, and you can't notice it. I just glued them on with hot glue. Now you don't have to put these on if you can't find them. I just wanted to make a room with loads of skulls and bones. Oh, I've got my wee helper now. So this was a table runner from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut off a piece to make a rug. As cute as she is, it is annoying trying to craft with her on my lap, but if I want to get stuff done, then I just have to do it. Like, I have her walker in the room, so she'll stay in that for a wee bit, and then she wants to sit on my lap. So I just keep trimming it down until it looks how I want it to look. And I'm just gonna glue it down with some Mod Podge, and I just put it on the underside. I didn't Mod Podge over the top of it. Usually I would use the wee logs for the fireplace, but they're not black, so I decided that I wanted to have coal in my fireplace, and I have these little black stones from Dollar Tree, and I am taking the rib cages from 3 skeletons to put in the fireplace to hold the stones in, and I'm just using my hot knife to cut them down. And then I'm going to paint them black. So I got these lights from the Dollar Tree Plus section, and I bought them because they look like flames on them, and I didn't realise that you had to plug them in. I'm drilling a hole in the fireplace because I want to put 3 of these in there without the flame part on them, so it looks like the coal is glowing. And they're quite wide, so I really had to make a really big hole. So if you can either use these or you could use some fairy lights, but these do glow orange, and I think that I might swap them out for fairy lights and keep the flame part for the top part of the DIY, and then use fairy lights instead, because I can just put batteries in them. So I'm just gluing down my rib cages since I put the lights through. I'm going to drill 2 holes so I can make my... They're supposed to be wall sconces. I'm just trying to fit them through, but I had to make the holes so big, and then I had to make... I'll show you what I make to try and cover up the holes. So yeah, fairy lights would definitely be better, and then you could always put the flame part on top of the fairy lights, like what I did in my last video, the vampire one. I'm just painting the paper because it was white where I drilled it. And then I'm going to hot glue them in place and use some masking tape to hold it in place until it dries. Also, there's like so many lights at the back, like a big bunch of them. So I did look for fairy lights when I was in Dollar Tree, but I didn't find them. And yeah, I didn't realise these were plug-in. But it does turn out nice in the end. So this is me gluing them and then taping them in place. To hide the big holes and to make it look like they were 2 lamps, I decided to use these parts of the wee skeletons. I'm just going to glue the skull into the hip bone. I also had to cut off the back of the skull to make it fit. I just used my hot knife again for that. I just glued them together, and it actually turned out quite cool, as I wanted as much bones and skulls in this as possible. I'm just taking the tape off now, and then I'm going to glue them in front of the wee lights. And these are just some of the wee mini bottles from Dollar Tree. And I'm cutting off a skeleton hand, and then I melted it a tiny bit. Well, heated it up, I didn't melt it, so that I could squeeze it in. And then I'm painting the cork black, and then I have some different shaped beads and I'm going to paint those black as well. If you have some clay, you could just make little pots and stuff and decorations for your mantle. And just placed on the mantelpiece to decide where I'm going to put them, and then I just hot glued them all in place. This is the wee black chips that I had, and I'm just placing them inside the fireplace. And this is how it turned out. This is it without the chair and the table. but I'll show you in the next clip what it looks like with them. I think I prefer it like this, but I love how this turned out. I did make another wee jar there. I just used some small, really tiny beads and painted them white so they look like eyeballs. And then this is it with the table and chair. My favourite DIY I've ever done. So for this first DIY, I have this skull from Dollar Tree, and I am just cutting off the back of it. I was using my scissors there, and then I'm using my hot knife, but it's not switched on because I didn't want it to melt the plastic and I wanted it to be smooth still. So I'm just using that to cut it, and then my scissors also because it wasn't cutting around the corner. Well, not the corner, but the rounded bit on the skull. So I'm just doing kind of a sawing motion, and I'm trying to make as straight a line as I can because I'm going to stick this to a frame. And then here I'm just taking a pencil and drawing a line so I can guide myself and try and cut it as straight as possible. I'm just cutting off any wee extra bits. And then I'm taking a nail file, you could use sandpaper, and I'm just sanding off the seams on the chin. I don't know why this one had like a big piece hanging off it and made a hole, but that doesn't really matter. I'm just using some air dry clay. I will link it down below. It's a big tub for $10. And I don't know if you can get a better one, but I thought that was a good deal. Anyway, I'm making some vampire fangs. So I just molding it into the shape of a fang and then pressing it on. And then I have these wee tools from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use them to shape the fangs while they are on the skull. And I think I'll just show you me doing one fang because I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. I bought this clay just so I could do this DIY, but I'm definitely going to buy some molds so that I can do a lot more DIYs with it. So once I was happy with my vampire teeth, I just had a wet paper towel and I just smoothed off my fingerprints, and then I wiped away any excess clay that was around them. And I'm going to use some Waverly plaster chalk paint. So I'm just going to glue my teeth on because I let them dry, and now I'm going to glue them. But the other one started to break, so I just left it, but I do fix it later on. I didn't want to make another tooth. But it did break when I was trying to pull it off. That first one came off really easy, and then the next one didn't want to come off, so I just left it, and then you'll see what I do later on. I just didn't have time to make another tooth. So I'm just painting with the plaster chalk paint, and I'm going to give it 2 coats. Although I'm only going to show you 1 coat. You see my tooth there. I just glued it back on. And then it had cracks in it, but I just kept painting it to cover them up, and you can't even notice them now. It would be cool if Dollar Tree brought out some vampire skulls. I would definitely buy those. So maybe next year they will have something like that. And then I just carried on painting after I fixed that. I watered down some red and some black paint, but I watered it down a bit too much, so I'm just going to add some more black and some more red to them. And then I am putting the black paint inside the eye sockets and the nose holes. And then I'm going to use the red around the mouth. I wasn't happy with that, so I made it darker. And then just filled it up to however dark you want to have it. You could also use grey if you wanted. I'm just going around the teeth now and the fangs, and then I'm going to paint some of the red paint on the fangs. It was looking a bit pink, so I added some more red paint. And then I just kept applying it to the skull until I was happy with how it looked. And it looks a bit weird just now, but I'll show you what I do. It's not going to look like this in the end. I just dabbed off any excess with a paper towel, and then just filled in if it took off too much, and then I blasted it with my heat gun. Kind of looks like the Joker right now. And now I'm just going to go over it with some of the plaster chalk paint again, because I just want it to be like the teeth are stained like at the gums, and then the fangs are stained at the bottom, because this is like a really old vampire skull. So just dry brush over that, and then I went back in with the red again on the fangs, and any bits that the white paint went over too much, I just went over again with whatever colour I needed. And this frame is from Dollar Tree in the plus section, and have my wee helper this time. Now that she wants to grab everything, it's kind of annoying with her. Look, her sneaking in. It's annoying with her sitting on my lap. So I have this scrapbook paper pad from Amazon. I'll link it down below. And it has like little cutouts at the front. And then it has all these pretty pages, which should also be nice for Halloween, for Valentine's. So I will definitely be using it then. I'm just showing you all the pages. And you get 2 of each. It's 12 by 12. You get 2 of each page, and they're one-sided. And I did want to use this one, but I didn't want to have the writing on it. So I am using this one. I'm laughing at her. So I'm just going to cut off the part that I need and keep that other piece for another project. And then I have some Mod Podge, and I'm just spreading it around with a paintbrush, and then I'm going to stick my scrapbook paper on. And then I'm just smoothing it all out, and then I take my heat gun to dry it off, and then that got rid of some wee air bubbles that were in it. And then I just trim it round with some scissors. I'll also keep those scraps because I could use them, maybe use them in the future. I'm just putting all the frame back together now. I have 2 tower blocks and I am just gluing them on either side of the inside of the skull, and then I am placing it on the frame. And I love how this turned out. I love vampires, and yeah, all the DIYs in this video are so much fun to make. I'm definitely going to make some more vampire DIYs next year. I'm using that same scrapbook pad, and then I'm going to use these 2 sheets. I wish it didn't have the writing on it, but it turns out fine in the end. I have this sign from Dollar Tree. I was trying to find, there's a new one that was like a stand-up one with a wooden frame around it, a coffin one obviously, and I couldn't find it anywhere, so I'm using this because that's the one I wanted for this DIY. So I was just checking how it would look when I put it on. I'm just going to apply some Mod Podge and then stick down the scrapbook paper. I'm just doing it a piece at a time, and I'm putting it right to the edge because I want as little of that writing on it as I can. I see her wee face poking in there. I'm just putting some more Mod Podge so I can stick down the next piece. I had to do it so fast. Well, I've speeded the video up ×4, but I had to do it so fast because she was trying to put her fingers in it. And this one, I am putting it further over to get rid of that writing as much as I can. But I didn't line it up very well because I was rushing, so take your time and do a better job than I did. And then I was just using a hot air gun to dry it off, and now I'm just going to trim up the sides, and of course I'll keep the pieces of scrapbook paper. I did go in and trim it up better off camera, and I also filed down the sides with a nail file. I should have done this step first, but I am just taking some black acrylic paint and I am painting around the edges, and then any white bits of the paper that I cut and just covering that up. And if it went on the front of the paper, I just wiped it off, but I didn't really mind too much if it went on it. What I should have done is put a little thin line around the edge so that you don't see the paper when I do the next step. So I have these jewel border stickers from Dollar Tree, and I'm just applying some Mod Podge to them. And I won't show you me doing them all. Once I painted them all, I left them to dry, and now I'm going to do 2 coats of the black acrylic paint. If you have chalk paint, you maybe don't need to do the Mod Podge first. Someone told me to do that in the last video so that it sticks to the plastic. Well, the paint sticks to it. And then I'm just going to let that dry. You can also spray paint this if you wanted to. And then I'm just going to do another coat of Mod Podge on the top. And this is the matte Mod Podge, I don't know if I said that. So you should let your stuff dry completely. I didn't because I don't have time for that. So I just pulled the sticker off, and now I'm just picking off all the excess that was on the sides. And this didn't take too long actually. So I'm just picking it all off, and then I'm going to stick it down. Okay, I'm still picking it off. Okay, and then I'm just sticking it right at the edge. And then, because of the shape of these, you could see the paper at the edge, so you could always paint that. So I'm going to stick this all the way around, and to join up the pattern, all you need to do is cut away one wee gem from the end, and then they fit together nice. So I used one whole pack, and then I had these 3 wee pieces that were left from another project, so don't throw things away because they were the exact size that I needed for this, and I didn't have to open the other packet, and I can use that for something else. Because these wee stickers are good for so many projects, and they look so nice when they're painted. So I printed off this bat on my Cricut, and this is the first time I've used my Cricut in over a year. I definitely need to start using it more often. And then this is just the Dollar Tree vinyl, and I cut it on the washi tape setting, and it works well with this transfer tape, so I'll link that down below. I got that from Amazon. And I just put it in place. I wanted it to cover up that line I made in the middle, or I didn't match it up properly. So you can still see the line, but once it's up, then you won't notice that. And then these flowers are from Dollar Tree, so I am just going to arrange them and then hot glue them down. I have some red ones and some black ones. And then I'm using the wee branches that came with them as well. If you didn't want to do a bat, you could do something else in the middle of this. But I like the bats. Anyway, this said vampire DIYs, and this is a vampire bat. Dracula turned into a bat and flew off. So once I decided how I was going to have the flowers, I just hot glued them all down. Arranging the flowers and stuff is like the hardest part of the DIY, trying to get it to look right. Yeah, that's why I don't use a lot of flowers and stuff in my DIYs. And this one, you have to stick each layer down. And I was trying to rush, and they weren't sticking properly. So just take your time when you're doing the DIYs. I don't show it, but I did end up using another black rose down the bottom. I just show you me doing the red rose, but then I decided that I needed a black rose down there as well. And that rose at the top was a couple of the black roses I'd stuck together for another project and I didn't use it. And then I'm just cutting some of the wee leaves and sticking them down as well. These florals are alright, but I always have trouble finding nice ones that I see people using in my Dollar Trees. They never have a good selection. So I'm not sure if I'm going to hang this up yet, so I didn't put a hanger on the back. So if you want to hang it, then just put a wee twine hanger on the back. And yeah, I haven't decided if I'm just going to have it lean against the wall or if I'm going to hang it up yet. And I love how it turned out. I really love that bat. I love its creepy eye. This is an 8x8 canvas from Amazon, and I will link it down below. And I'm just using some tower blocks and the miter shears. Sometimes the blocks are easy to cut, sometimes they're not. There is ones that they kind of feel lighter and like, I don't know how to explain it. They don't feel as dense, and those ones are much easier to cut. So I'm just doing like a brick wall effect, because this is going to be the floorboards, as I'm making a wee vampire room. And this is, I think this is my favourite DIY I've ever done. So usually I would do 4 rows of the tower blocks, but this time I'm doing 6. Because I need more floor space. But when you make these, you could put as many tower blocks down as you like. You could also make the entire frame out of tower blocks, or you could use a bigger frame. I'm not sure if they have this size in Dollar Tree, but I know that in the plus section you can get bigger ones. Or you could just use a picture frame from Dollar Tree, like the wooden frames that they have. So I just keep cutting them down to make, that was me trying to find the blocks that were easier to cut. You could also use a saw to cut them. So I'm just going to glue them all together with some Dollar Tree super glue wood glue. Use a piece of wood and then cut down some popsicle sticks to make floorboards for this if you don't have tower blocks. And I buy them from the Dollar Tree website because I never see them in stores, except for the other day I actually saw them. And that's the first time in I don't even know how long. I don't even look for them anymore, but I was in the toy section and I saw them. And yeah, that's where they are anyway, the toy section. But if your country doesn't sell tower blocks, then there are equivalents. They have different, they might not be the same size though, but they do have something similar on the internet for on different websites. So I'm just painting the whole thing with some black acrylic paint, and I gave it 2 coats of this. You could use chalk paint or you could spray paint this. You could make all the pieces and then spray paint them out. And this is another scrapbook pad that I got, and it is 8.5 by 8.5, and it has all these sheets in it. But they are double-sided, but they're double-sided. I don't know why some of these pads do it. They're double-sided with the same pattern on the other side, which makes no sense, but I only needed this one sheet for this anyway. So I was trying to cut it with my X-Acto knife, but it's not sharp anymore, so I went and got the scissors. And this is going to be the wallpaper for the room, so I'm just going to measure it and then cut it out. Yeah, I will link this scrapbook pad down below as well. You could always use if you got the other pad, one of the sheets from that. But I bought this one first, and then I realised it wasn't going to be big enough for my other DIYs, so I went and got the other one. So I like to put it in and then make sure it fits before I glue it down, and then just trim off any pieces, because none of these wooden things are made straight or even. And then I'm just going to glue it down with some Mod Podge. This is the matte Mod Podge. And once I glued it down, I'm going to paint the entire thing with the Mod Podge. As I didn't want it to be matte, the paint, and also to protect it. So I'm just taking my heat gun to it to dry it and get rid of the air bubbles. And then I'm just going to finish it off with some more Mod Podge. And it looks white just now, but it does dry clear. I didn't paint the back because I am running out on black paint, and I still have some DIYs to do, and I forgot to get it when I went to Walmart. So I'm hoping that I have enough to get these Halloween DIYs done. And when I get some more, I can always go back and paint the back. I got this wee gold frame from Shein, and I don't know if you can get ones like this in Dollar Tree, but you could always use what you can find there. So I'm just painting it with some Mod Podge because I want to paint it black and I want the paint to stick. You could also use spray paint. That would be a lot easier if you just went out and sprayed all these things. I think I have some black spray paint, but I didn't want to take all the stuff out and paint it, spray it outside, so I'm just doing it this way. And to speed up the drying, I blast it with the heat gun. Now you should let all your pieces dry properly. I just dried them enough so that I could carry on with the DIY. And now I'm going to give it 2 coats of black paint. I did think about leaving it gold, but I decided that I wanted to do it black. I made sure I got the paint in all the wee nooks and crannies, and I won't show you me painting the whole thing. I'll just show you a wee bit. My paint is still wet, so I'm just taking a dry paper towel and I'm rubbing over it because I want that gold to show through. You could leave it totally black if you wanted to. So I have another scrapbook paper pad. You guys, if you watch my other Halloween DIYs, you've seen this one before. And I wanted to use one of these wee skulls, and it fits inside this frame perfectly. I am just holding it in place just to see what it'll look like. So I'm using some more of these sticker gems from Dollar Tree, and this wee Home Sweet Home coffin was from Dollar Tree. I bought it a few years ago, and it's just like a cardboard box, and it's got a lid, and I am just sticking the stickers all around the top of the lid on the edge, and then I'm going to stick them around the side of the lid. And I don't know if they still have these. I'm sure they have some kind of coffin. I didn't find a lot of Halloween stuff this year. One of the stores I went to was totally bare, and I didn't see a lot of the stuff that I saw people haul that I wanted. But these stickers, I love these. You can use them for so many. These other stickers are also from Dollar Tree. I'm just taking off the rectangle one and put it on the front of the coffin. And then this is one of the necklaces from Dollar Tree that has wee skulls and bones on it. And I'm just cutting off 6 bones to make handles for my coffin. And I'm just burning the little threads at either end with a lighter. And I'm hot gluing these in place just on top of where the picture of the handles was. So now I'm going to paint the whole thing with some matte Mod Podge, and you see Dracula is inside the coffin. I was going to line it with some red silk and make a wee pillow and stuff, but I didn't bother because I didn't have a Dracula to put in it, so maybe in the future I'll find something. But in the meantime, that wee cartoony Dracula will have to do. And then I paint the lid and the bottom of the coffin as well. And then I just blast it with my heat gun to make it dry faster. Just don't put too much Mod Podge on and it'll definitely dry a lot quicker. So I'm just going to give it 2 coats of the black acrylic paint. And I'm just painting the outside. I'm going to leave the wee Dracula inside. I love vampires, not just for Halloween. I even went to Transylvania in Romania to visit my friend. Well, she doesn't live in Transylvania, but she took me there and she took me to Bran Castle. And it was so nice. I definitely want to go back again and visit all the castles there. I'm giving it a coat of Mod Podge now. I won't show you me painting all the Mod Podge, but I do it on the top and, well, the lid and the base of this wee coffin box. I decided it wasn't decorated enough on the bottom, so I have these wee half pearl stickers from Dollar Tree, and I am just sticking them along the bottom edge of the coffin. And I could have left these red actually, looking at it now. But I do paint them in the same way as I did the other stickers. I already painted the Mod Podge, so I'm just going over them with the black paint just now. And when that dries, I will go over it with the Mod Podge again. I have more stickers from Dollar Tree that I got. I got these ones years ago, and they have a wee bat, so I'm just sticking that on the top of the coffin. I was playing around to see what it looked like if I put it different places, but I did stick it over that other sticker that I put there earlier. For the lights, I decided to make 2 platforms with tower blocks instead of... I was going to make them wall sconces, so I decided to do this instead. So I placed 2 tower blocks at the back, then 1 on the floor bit, and then the other one is standing on its side so that it's the same height as the tower blocks at the back. And now I'm not gluing these down yet, I'm just gluing them in place, and then when they set, I'm going to paint them with the black paint and then paint a Mod Podge on the top of that. I did give them 2 coats of black paint like I did everything else. So I'm just gluing them in place now. These says Favour Surprises are from Dollar Tree Party Section, and I'm just using my hot knife, have it switched on this time, to cut the back off these. What do you call these things? They're like, it's not a whistle, it makes like a... I haven't even tried them actually to see what noise they make, but I know what noise they make. Anyway, I cut the back off so that they can sit flat against the back of this DIY, and also because my lights need to go inside them and up to the top of them. That makes sense. So I'm just going to do the same Mod Podge, black paint, and then Mod Podge. So while those are drying, I decided to drill a hole in the middle of each of those pedestal bits that I made, and I'm just brushing away any of the dust. If you make it, obviously you can put these pieces in better order than me. So this is some string lights that I got from Dollar Tree, and These actually I got at Christmas time, and I couldn't find any string lights when I went, so I'm using these, and they have mesh on them, so I'm just cutting the mesh off. And then it was like glued onto the end one, but I need that one. And then I'm just putting them through. I only need one light on each side. I found these lights in the Dollar Tree Plus section, but I'm only going to use 2 of the bulbs for them. I do use those lights in my DIY room for my next video, so I'm just putting the lights up the middle of these. And then hot gluing it in place. I just want the light just sticking up just enough at the top. And then I'm gonna glue this wee bulb on the top because it looks like a flame. And then I tried to hot glue this in place, but it wasn't staying, so I got some masking tape and that held it in place. I'm just going to do the other side now. I probably should have done this side first. I was so fiddly trying to get it in. So the top part of those whistle things comes off. So if you wanted to, you could use that part and make wall sconces. I just wanted to make the standing candles. So I do get that through eventually. And then I just taped the back. And I glued the other one in. And I can't see what I'm doing. And then I have these 2 wee bats. They were on other DIYs, and I take them off, and one of them I used my heat gun and I melted the wing because I wasn't thinking, oh, it's plastic. But I do have a ton of them somewhere, but I cannot find them. So if I find them, I will I will replace that bat. So I'm just hot gluing the box to the back. Obviously on the side with the screw is on the front, so that I can change the batteries if I need to. And then I'm just taping up the rest of those lights. And I am just dry brushing some gold on each of these half pearls, the bigger ones, on the front and around this wee sticker that was on there. I did order some rub and buff, but it's not got here in time. So luckily I had a wee bit of gold paint left. I also paint the wee handles. And then I decided to dry brush over the candlesticks. And I love how this turned out. I think it's my favourite DIY I've ever done. I love Gothic decor. This is how I would have my house if I lived by myself. I wouldn't have had red before, but now I'm thinking I need some red in my craft room. DIYs. For this DIY, you need 34 tumbling tower blocks and some wood glue. I'm gluing 3 tower blocks end to end, and I'm going to do this twice. Next, I glue together 4 tower blocks end to end, and I make 2 sets of these. Then I make 4 sets of 5 tower blocks glued end to end. So I'm making a frame, and I need the 2 sets of 3 tower blocks, and I stand them on their side, and one's at the top, one's at the bottom, and then the set of 4 tower blocks are laying flat at the top and the bottom, and then one set of the 5 tower blocks will be on its side, on the inside of the frame, and then the outside will be laying flat, and then the same on the other side. So I'm just going to glue all the pieces together, and I like this wood glue, but if you have one that you prefer, then use that. I wouldn't use hot glue for gluing together tower blocks because it doesn't last, and if you want to stain the blocks, the hot glue doesn't stay together, doesn't hold together when you stain it. I have a wee helper. So I'm just using some apple barrel black acrylic paint. You could use chalk paint or spray paint for this. And you could wait until you attach these bones and then paint afterwards. But I wanted to show you I wanted to see myself what it looked like if I didn't paint the bones. So these wee bones are from Dollar Tree, and I'm just arranging them how I want them to go around my frame before I glue them down. And I have Romy keeps stealing them. So I'm just using hot glue to glue them down. You can use something stronger if you want. I had to go put her down because she kept touching the stuff. So I'm just going to glue the rest of them down. Now you could paint these bones white if you wanted, if you don't like this colour. I'm going to paint them black, as you'll see in the next clip. So I wouldn't recommend using the black acrylic paint for this because it did keep chipping off, and I had to keep touching it up. And this scrapbook paper I will link down below. I got it on Amazon. I used this last year, so I wanted to use up the rest because I think that picture is so pretty. I'm just marking off where I'm going to cut it, and then I'm just going to cut it with some scissors. So I'm just checking if I needed to keep those bits on it, but I'm just going to cut them off because it was wide enough. Now I'm just going to hot glue this to the frame, but you could put it on some cardboard or some foam board or something to make the back stronger, but I'm just going to hang this up in my craft room, so it doesn't really matter. And I was thinking about putting a twine hanger on it, but I decided to use one of these sawtooth hangers, and the wee nails screws are a wee bit fiddly, and I couldn't get them to go right in with a screwdriver, so I had to go get a bigger one. The wee set of screwdrivers is from Dollar Tree, and I actually think the big one is from there too. And this is how it turned out, and I love this. It was my, I think it's my favourite DIY. I don't know. I can't decide. It's really hard for this video. Definitely going to keep this hanging up all year round in my craft room. You need 50 tower blocks for this DIY and some wood glue. So for this DIY, I'm gluing together 3 rows of 8 blocks. And I like to glue them like this. Well, actually, I lay them out first and see that they're going to fit and make a nice... most of the blocks are the same size. And then I glue them together. You can do 3 rows of 8 and glue them, and then try and glue them all together at the end, the 3 sections together at the end, but you don't get as good a fit. So now I am just gluing tower blocks all the way around, and I'm gluing these ones standing on their side. And then if there's one that doesn't fit, it's not long enough, or it's too wide, then you can just switch it out for another one. And now I'm gluing some blocks all around the outside, and I'm laying these flat. So the ends at the top and the bottom there, they're just like a couple of millimeters too short. So don't worry about that, because you won't even notice that once you put the bones on. Or you could do something else with this. You don't have to make these DIYs, Halloween DIYs. You can always stain them or put something else on them instead of bones. So I'm just gluing 4 half beads to the bottom. Also, if you wanted, you could make the first DIY like this, so that you'd have a hard back, and then you could just stick your scrapbook paper onto that. And I'm just painting it with the same black acrylic paint as I did before. And I have my wee helper. I'm using more of those bones from Dollar Tree. And someone's trying to steal them. So I'm just fitting them all the way around. So this is going to be a riser. And if you didn't want to use bones, you could always use some of the ribbon from Dollar Tree, even not Halloween ribbon if you wanted to make this for another occasion. Obviously I would have these for every day. But you could put ribbon around the edge, or you could put half beads. There's lots of different options that you have. So I was just touching up a bit that I forgot to paint. Well, not touching up, I was painting it. And then I'm just gluing the bones on. Again, you don't have to use hot glue. You could always use a different glue. I think she knows I'm recording. She's gonna get her hand in. And then I'm just painting over it. But I wouldn't use this paint for painting the bones, because it kept coming off. And you can always just spray paint this once you stick the bones on. I think that probably work better. Also, if you wanted to, you could dry brush over the bones, or use some rub and buff or something and make them stand out. And this is how it turned out, and I love how this one turned out as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
You only need 22 tower blocks for this DIY and some wood glue. And I'm just going to glue together 8 tower blocks to make a square. And then I glue together 12 tower blocks, 6 on the top and 6 on the bottom. And then I'm going to glue the square on top of this. But I decided to turn it around before it was dry. Make sure yours is dry, because I wanted the flat side that was on the bottom to be on the front of the picture, because I'm going to glue stuff to it. And now I am just gluing another 2 tower blocks on the bottom because I want it to stand up by itself. And then I just paint it black. And I'm using these bones again, so I decide to set them out around them like this, and then I'm just hot gluing them in place. Something weird came out of my hot glue there. It was like brown, I don't know what it was. And then I'm just using my hot knife to cut the back of the skull off, so that it will sit flat in the middle of the picture. And then just using a nail file to file off the rough edges, and also there's a seam down the middle of the skull, so I'm just filing that down a wee bit, and then I'm just hot gluing that in the middle. Then I was deciding if I was going to put these bones in there. So I decided I would paint it without those bones to see what it looks like first and see if I want to add them in. I was just taking off some excess hot glue. So, I didn't say that I had to give all the bones 2 coats of paint. But if you use chalk paint, probably only need 1 coat. So I decided that I wanted to put the bones in it, and I put them all going in the same direction, of the opposite direction of the big bones on the outside. And I had to do them standing up on their side as well to make them fit. And then I just painted over them. And I love this one too. It's perfect for a shelf filler or a tier tray. You need exactly 1 box of tower blocks for this DIY, that's 72, and some wood glue. And I'm making 2 of these squares like I did in the last DIY. Then I'm gluing together 12 blocks, and I make 2 sets of these. So I'm gluing one of the squares to one set of the 12 blocks, and then I'm putting 4 half beads on the bottom, and that's going to be the base. And then for the top I just placed the square on and turned it over so I could make sure it was placed properly with the same amount of space on each side. and then I'm going to glue 4 tower blocks in the middle of that to the bottom piece, but not the square. I'm not going to glue that yet. And then I made 8 sets of 4 tower blocks, glued end to end, and now I'm going to glue them to the base. And I'm just gluing them in the corners like this, so that the edges are touching. And once I have all those in place, I then glue that other square on the top, and then I make sure all the tower blocks are in the right place, so they're not sticking out at the sides or in the middle. And then I just painted everything black. I should have gave all these DIYs 2 coats of paint, but I only had time for 1. So if you wanted, this would be a nice, cute, simple lantern. You could also do other things with it. You don't have to put bones on it. So I have another one of these skulls, and I'm just hot gluing it to the top. And that's going to be how you pick up the lid. And I forgot, I need to file down that wee seam. I wish they made them without that seam. And then I'm just finding which side I wanted to be the front. For some reason I thought I was going to fit the 2 big bones in there, but I didn't. So I was figuring out something else I was going to do. And then I decided I wasn't going to use the wee skulls. I decided to put a half bead in the middle to fill up that space. And then I just hot glued everything down. And then I did this for the other side as well. And I just made sure I got rid of as much of the excess hot glue that I could. So I thought the top was a bit plain, so I decided to add a smaller half bead on each of the corners, and then I'm going to glue these other bones in between those half beads, and I'm going to do them all facing in the same direction. And then I just paint over all the bones and the skull. And I love how this turned out as well. This is the kind of decor I like. Black, spooky skulls. I like the DIYs I make on my channel, but this is the kind of stuff I really like, that I would love to make all the time, not just Halloween. For this DIY you need 2 boxes because you need 124 blocks, and some wood glue. And I made 8 sets of 4 tower blocks glued end to end, and 4 sets of 12 tower blocks. And then I glued a tower block to each end of these sets of 12, and I glued it standing on its side. And then I'm going to glue those other pieces. See here, I made a mistake because I wanted it to see, I've made a mistake there too. Yeah, I want it to sit like this, so I turned it upside down to glue those pieces on, and then glue them in the right place then. And now I am gluing another square. So you need 2 squares, same as the ones in the previous DIYs, just need 8 tower blocks for each of them. And then you need 2 squares with 12 blocks each. So I am gluing, I flipped them over, I'm gluing 1 square like that, and then the other one I'm gluing it on the top. So that one, the last one I did, that's the base, and then I'm just gluing these in place right to the edge of the top piece there that has the 12 tower blocks on it. So you want the edges of each of these to touch, so that there's no gaps. And then I put glue on the top, and then put that on the top piece on the top. Oh my god! And then I put something heavy on it till the glue set. So these pack of 4 skeletons are from Dollar Tree. I think they have them every year. So I'm just cutting them off, and then I'm cutting off the little plastic hoop on the top that has the twine on it. And then I am just going to paint these on both sides and inside the rib cage. You probably don't need to paint the back of them, but I just wanted to paint the whole thing. I also painted the tower blocks as well. So now I am just hot gluing these inside, and I wanted this to be like kind of like a mausoleum or something. I glue one on each side, and then I'm going to paint them again. And I actually think they need a 3rd coat of paint. I might go buy some chalk paint and then paint over this stuff and see if it stops chipping off. And also, when you'll see in the next clips, when I have the light shining on them, I can see bits of paint I missed. But I did do these in a hurry. I actually didn't put this one together as well as I should have, so take your time with it and don't rush. But I do love how it turned out. I definitely will give it another coat of paint. So this is what it looks like if you make it a candle holder. And then I will show you what it looks like if you put a wee plant on the top. Here it is with the plant. I think this is how I will keep it. Goes with your home decor. I got this frame from the Dollar Tree Plus section. It was $3, and I am just moving the tabs on the back so I can take the inside out. I'm using some green paint that I had at home, and a similar colour is probably Waverly's celery, but you can use whichever colour you like. You don't even have to do this colour. So I gave it a few coats of this. Chalk paint would have covered this a lot easier, but I didn't have any in that colour. And then this wallpaper is from Dollar Tree, so I'm just going to trace around it, then I'm going to cut it out with some scissors and stick it to this part of the sign. So you could use any of the Dollar Tree wallpapers for this, or some scrapbook paper, just whatever is going to fit your decor in your house. I was checking if the snake would be seen through it, and it wasn't visible, so I just went ahead and stuck it down, and I didn't have to paint it. This DIY I would keep up in my house all year round. This skull is from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to take some scissors and cut along this line and try and make a straight edge all the way around, because I'm going to be sticking it to the frame. And I cut the corner bits were a bit harder to cut, and I did have bigger scissors, but I can't find them. They've all went missing out my craft room, so maybe bigger scissors might be better. I'm just marking off the line that I want to cut it on. I hope Dollar Tree starts putting out some nicer looking skulls than this one, but it works for the DIY. I'm going to paint it with some Waverly chalk paint in the colour Plaster. And I was going to leave the eyes this colour, so you don't see me painting them, but then I decided just to paint them, and I also gave it 2 coats of this paint. And you don't have to make the skull white, you can make it any colour you like. I just chose white because it goes with the DIY that I'm making. But next year I'm going to do some other colours and show you other things you can do that are not black. I will be making some more Halloween videos with black DIYs, because black is my favourite, but green is my second favourite, so that's why I wanted to make these. When I saw that frame, I knew that it would look really, really nice with that wallpaper. And I watered down a tiny bit of Waverly's Moss chalk paint, and I'm just putting it in the eyes and all the cracks and the teeth, and then just wiping it away with a dry paper towel. I just filled in all the wee bits. So I just keep doing that until I'm satisfied with how it looks. I don't know if you can hear Romy in the background screaming. She's not crying, she's just making noise. She was in here with me in her walker, but she was just being too noisy, so I had to put her out. And just taking the plaster paint again, and then just lightly brushing over all the green that I did, because some of it went over the lines and some of it was a bit dark, so I'm just toning it down. And then I'm doing it over the mouth part, so it just looks more like shadow. So I'm using some Waverly White wax for this next part. So I haven't used this stuff before. I've had it for years and then never got around to using it. So I'm just brushing it on and making sure it gets in all the wee nooks and crannies. And then I'm going to wipe it off. And I'm just doing a section at a time because it says you're supposed to wipe it off immediately. And then I just do that around the whole frame. There was some wee hairs kept coming off that brush. It was annoying. But I'm definitely going to use this wax more often because I really like how it looks. And I will finish this off camera. I'm just going to put all my pieces back together now. So I really like how these tabs had a wee screw for the screwdriver. So you could really tighten it. And then I've got 2 tower blocks. I'm going to hot glue them on the inside of the skull so that I can glue it to the frame. And I think that frame looks so beautiful just like that. You could just use that for a DIY. You don't have to put a skull on it. You could put something else on it. And this can be a standing frame or you can hang it on the wall. And if you want to hang it up, you can see that the stand part, you can see at the bottom. So you have to take that off. And I just love how this turned out. I love the frame and using the wax on it, and that wallpaper from Dollar Tree is just so pretty. I have this wee tag from Dollar Tree, so I'm going to use some of that scrapbook paper I had left over. I'm using this scrapbook paper for, not scrapbook paper, wallpaper. It even says wallpaper right there. So I'm using this for most of the DIYs in this video. And I just cut out a piece so that I can stick it to the front of this. And then I'm just cut it so I could put it behind that piece of twine. And then I have these wee skeletons. I'm just taking the head off and the arms. I was just playing around. So I'm just using my hot knife to cut through the skull because I want it to be flat on the back and lay on the tag. And then I'm just using a nail file, or if you have some sandpaper, just to sand off any rough edges. And then I'm going to paint the parts with some plaster chalk paint. And I use the plaster chalk paint and, well, I'd use all the same paints throughout the video. If I don't show it, that's what ones I'm using. And I gave it 2 coats of this. This DIY would be perfect for a tier tray or a tray. You could always switch out the skeleton for something else. But I would keep the skeleton out all year round. I just love stuff like that. And I'm just using the moss again and just highlighting the skull and the bones. And my voice is going a bit funny. I don't know, my throat is not sore today. I woke up like that, so sorry about that. And then I'm using this ribbon from Dollar Tree, but I just want this part of it that I'm cutting off. So I just cut enough to go around the inside of this. I'm just going to hot glue it down, and then I just snip the corners just to make it fit. And just join it up, and then you can't even really notice. So I'm just going to keep going round with this. Well, I did one side and then I did the other side and then I joined up the bottom. So I'm also going to use hot glue to glue down the skeleton parts, and I want it to have a wee skull and crossbones, but I've got the hands on it too. So just a wee bit of hot glue, and then this one part of it at the bottom there didn't want to stick down, but that's okay. I was trying to get to stick, but it did pop up. And then I decided to burn off the wee hairs. And then I decided to, I forgot I was burning the hairs. So I just dry brushed some of this paint on that I used in the previous DIY. And then it was a bit too green or dark. I didn't like how it was looking, so I decided to go over it with that white wax, but then it didn't really work. It just kind of took the paint off, but in the end I liked how it looked. And this is how it turned out, and I think it turned out really cute. I was so happy when I found these moon signs in Dollar Tree. So I'm just cutting off the tag and then I'm taking the witch off. And you can take all the paper off if you want. You can sand off the glitter if you want to, but I don't have time for all that anymore. But you guys can make sure you do a better job than me. So I just turned it round and then stuck it down to this beautiful wallpaper from Dollar Tree. And then, I don't know why my X-Acto knives would not cut through it. So I tried to, and they weren't working. So I ended up having to cut it with some scissors. And then I used a nail file to just take off any of the wee bits that were left over. And I love how this moon has a face on it. I'm going to save that wee bit because that'd be a waste. Oh, and I got that cutting mat from Temu. It's so pretty. I did haul it in my Temu video. If you watched that, you would have seen it. So here I have a few different spiders from Dollar Tree, and I decided just to go with these big ones. So I'm using that paint, and I do paint them on both sides, and I gave them, I think I only gave them one coat of paint actually. So now I'm just using some of the plaster paint and dry brushing it on just to pick out the detail. I decided I didn't like the edges of this, so this is some of the burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. I'm just cutting it in half, and I've done this on loads of DIYs before. And then I'm just going to hot glue it around the edge of this, and it just makes it look better, makes it look more finished. Obviously I do the scallop edge facing up. Just watch you don't burn your fingers. I'm just burning off the wee hairs with a lighter. You don't have to do this. Or you could get one of those big long lighters, but I prefer to use this one. So I have a piece of string and I'm just checking where I want my spider to hang. I also put the hole in the top of here, and then I wish I hadn't. So if you want to hang it, then make the hole. If you want to hang it with a wee hanger, like a twine one at the top, which I'm going to put on. But if you don't want to, you could just put some twine on the back and hang it, and then you won't see the hanger. So I just put a wee bit of craft stick to keep those pieces in place, and then I'm just gluing the other spider on there. And now I'm making my twine hanger. I'm just looping it through and then tying it at the top, trimming off the excess. Also burnt the hairs on that. And this is how it turned out, and this is my other favourite DIY from this video. Even if you don't use the spiders on it, the moon looks so beautiful with this wallpaper on it. This wooden sign is also from Dollar Tree. Everything is from Dollar Tree except for the paint, the glue. Even that pencil's from Dollar Tree. So I'm just measuring it because I want to put this paper in the middle. And then I'm going to cut it with some scissors. And then I'm just going to stick it down. I have some more of this lace ribbon from Dollar Tree and a wee helper. And I just cut it to a strip for the top and a strip for the bottom, but I should have cut it so I could wrap it around, but I wasn't thinking because someone was trying to grab it. Her wee hand looks so cute. And then I just trimmed off the bits that were hanging off the end. And now I have some of these skeletons, and I'm just using my hot knife again, obviously away from her. But I didn't realise that it wasn't even switched on. I think it must have still been hot here, but then it wasn't even switched on for the other two. So I'm just doing the same as I did with the other skulls and cutting off the back so that they will lay flat. And then using the nail file, get any jaggy pieces away. I'm just going to do that with 2 more skulls. I'm just going to paint them with plaster chalk paint. Actually, then I realised when I started painting them that they have this line on the front of them on the forehead. So I am just sanding that off. And then I'm going to paint them with the plaster chalk paint. I think I only gave these ones 1 coat because I was trying to rush. Someone wanted to grab them. And then I also did the moss on them, you'll see in the next clip. Look at her creeping her hand in. So now I'm just putting the moss wash on, just the same as I did for the last skulls. I'm not going to show it, but I did go over with the plaster paint again like I did before. So I'm just going to glue my skulls in place with a wee bit of hot glue. And this is how it turned out. So I'm going to use a whole skeleton this time, and I think that one looks best. So I am going to paint it with the plaster chalk paint. I just gave it one coat, and I did paint it on both sides. I'm not going to show you me painting the other side. And I'm just using the moss on the face this time. And I have this beaded hoop from Dollar Tree. And I was going to just hang him the way he was with the hanger sticking out his head. And then I thought, oh, maybe I should just actually hang him. Like he's just been hanging in that hoop for, I don't know, till he turned into a skeleton. So I just tied it around his neck and then tied it to the top. Obviously I've got to burn off the wee hairs. And then at this point is when I should have added a hanger, but I wasn't thinking about that yet. So I picked some lamb's ear and some other floral. Lamb's ear was from Walmart, and the floral, the leaves were from Dollar Tree. Forgot what it was called there. So I'm just going to hot glue them on. And then I glued these, and then I decided to put something in the middle. So I'm gonna paint that spider next, and I just painted it that green colour that I had from my house, and then I dry brushed some of the plaster paint on it. And this was just a ring from Dollar Tree. I cut off the back. And then I'm just going to hot glue that right in the middle once it's dry. And this is when I realised I should probably make a hanger. So I'm just using some of that lace ribbon, and I'm folding it over, and I'm just going to hot glue it to the back. This is really light, so that should hold it fine. This is how it turned out. I got these wee ghosties last year, and I decided to use them this year, obviously. But I'm going to do 4 with this wallpaper, and the others I am going to paint. But I ended up only using 3 of the ghosts with this wallpaper on them. So I'm just cutting them out. I'll just show you me doing one of them. I just cut as much of the wallpaper off as I could, and then I used the nail file. And then I got my scissors, and I was going to use my X-Acto blades, and then fold the paper back, but then it wasn't working, so I just had to cut round the holes. And I decided to do 2 ghosts in this colour and 2 ghosts in the plaster colour. And this is me just deciding if that's what I was going to do. But that's what I did do in the end. And then I paint the other two ghosts. So I arranged the ghosts how I wanted them to be, and that's when I decided I didn't need that extra ghost. So I'm just using the twine that came with them. I put it through the ghost, and then I hot glued the end, and then I put 3 beads on each one. I'm going from a larger one to a smaller one, so I did that for them all off camera. And then I found the middle of this piece of twine, and then I thought I was going to tie the ghost hanging, but then I decided to tie it close to the beads. So I did 2 knots, and then I'm going to trim it off at the end once I've done all the other ghosts. And then I was trying to figure out how much space I wanted between each ghost. But you can still move them around. You'll see me do that in a minute, if the spacing is not right. So I'm just doing the other side now, and just doing the same thing. And then once I put the last one on, I hold it up to see how it's looking. And then when I'm happy with it, I was going to tie them again at the top and a different knot, but I decided against that. So I just trim them all off, and then I'm going to put a wee bit of hot glue on the top of each of them, just to hold the knot together. And I didn't show it, but I do tie a loop at either end of this so that I can hang it up, and then I just trimmed off the excess. And I think this turned out so cute. Anyway, let me know which of these DIYs is your favourite, and would you use this colour or a different colour? And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!